It's time for Halo Book Club.
To another Halo Book Club episode, part of Podcast Evolved, your home for Halo. I'm your host today, David, and with me is Aaron.
Hi guys. That's
right guys, it's a Halo sandwich, and we are definitely the meat in this sandwich because this comic is short as feck. What was our previous record, Aaron? I think it was the Soma the Painter?
Soma the Painter is still our record. That was, I think you guys made 28 minutes out of that.
Oh, we're going to smash that today.
We're going to have a 45-minute book club on this episode, so be prepared.
And be prepared, guys. Today's is from the Halo, the graphic novel. That's the original graphic novel by Marvel. It is Breaking Quarantine, and it is by Tatsumu Nihai. And I'm going to do some social stuff before we kick into the club, right? So, if you're new to the show, welcome. Podcast Evolved is a host to a variety of different types of shows that we have. We have the Halo Book Club, which is obviously this show, where we talk about our novels, short stories, the comics, the extended lore. We have other shows for Halo Headlines, Bills of Blocks, Halo Book Club, which is this one, and Mission Debrief. We also have like the main show as well, which is all about like the main stuff of Halo, the news and all that kind of stuff that happens. Our partnership with HCS Pro Talk is with Josh and Will. Those guys discuss all the kind of stuff about the Halo competitive scene, so we don't have to. They're pretty damn cool, so go check those guys out. That's HCS Pro Talk. So you can learn more about each of them on our website. It's pretty damn awesome. A lot of work went into it, guys, so please go check it out. It's halopodcastevolve.com. It is also halopodcast.com because we're that cool. So go check that out. If you like the show, please give us a review and rate us. The reviews really do help, guys. We like the criticisms. We like to know what we're doing, good, bad, negative, all that kind of stuff, so we can fix and improve anything we think or you guys think we should. And finally, I have to give a shout out to our patrons because they're incredible. So that's right, guys. We have a Patreon and it's incredible. It's so cool. It's so goddamn good. You people are to us. So thank you very much. The patrons get all sorts of stuff. If you're interested, go check it out. Patreon.com/HaloPodcastEvolved. Things like, early episodes, we get unique swag. We have access to our own soundtrack, which you get. There's 18 songs in there. They're all themed around Halo. They're awesome. There's artwork. There's all sorts of different things over there for you. So please go check that out should you be interested. Now, the book club. I might go through some of the details there, Aaron, and then we will have a quick discussion on what we just read. The book club is Halo, the graphic novel, like I said, Breaking Quarantine. The author is Tatsumu Nihai. He's a Japanese fellow. The publisher, this was obviously Marvel Comics originally, but there is a new edition coming out very soon. Perhaps when you're listening to this, it might be out by Dark Horse, so they're republishing it. Which is kind of cool because it was getting kind of hard to get if you've never seen it. And it has some really unique comics in there, like the art style, like nothing else you've seen from the Halo kind of universe. It's pretty cool. There's various formats. It's pretty much hard. It's hardcover originally, and the paperback is what's coming out now. I have a paperback as well, so it must have been an original paperback at one stage. Aaron, what copy have you got?
I have no copy of this because this is the one I am missing.
Yeah, you can't get it digitally, right?
No, I have the other Marvel collection that has like Bloodlines and stuff in it. I have that one in a hardback cover, but I never had the graphic novel. So I've been looking through these in PDF form. But as soon as this one comes out, I will be picking it up. By the way, if you're listening to this the day it comes out, the next version will be next month on the 28th of September. So you've got a month. You can go ahead and order it from your comic book stores, Amazon, general book retailers, all the usual places.
Dark Horse do a lot of stuff digitally, so I wonder will they put it up digitally as well. They have an app that's decent enough where I keep all my Halo comics, so I would imagine.
I have all the Escalation comics there because I picked them up an issue at a time. Probably. It would make sense to do it digitally.
the release date was originally the 19th of July 2006, so that's a while ago. Its new date, like Aaron said, 28th September. Its length is 14 pages, which is damn short, but also there's not a single word of dialogue, so you pretty much fly through this. So like there's a little bit of text before and after the comic by the comic book organizers, and a piece by the creator itself. There's a little bit of spiel about the people and the comic itself. The location that it takes place is Installation 04. So I haven't actually told you guys what it's about. So if you haven't read it yet, it's essentially how Sergeant Johnson gets out of the room where they first encounter the Flood. You see him on the Jenkins recording in Halo CE. So it's how he escapes from that room to make it back to the surface. It's a pretty short, it's a cool idea for a comic, because obviously Johnson became a much bigger character following on from Halo CE than he was in the actual game itself. So there's a few little inconsistencies based on, we had Johnson's own comments on it that he made in Halo First Strike, which Aaron is going to talk to us about in a little while, and also just kind of generally from where the room setups and kind of where the mission was and stuff like that. There's a few little things that are different, but who cares? It's a comic. Let's do it. So it's pretty much just Sergeant Johnson. That's pretty much it. Aaron has very funnily said that it also stars Wallace A. Jenkins. That's pretty mean, Aaron. That's a pretty mean list of character there.
He has a face in one panel, so he is... Look, you see him at the start before his helmet gets knocked off, and then you see his face. Then he becomes a horrible creature. So he's technically there. You don't get to see Captain Keyes.
It's probably good that you go and see Keyes, but I do like that it does begin with like how Jenkins gets created, essentially, where he is half infected, and at the moment of infection, Johnson shoots the infection form off him, but he's very much screwed, and you see that in the panel. It's pretty cool. Like, the art style of this comic is pretty unique. I really like it. It's dark. It's just Johnson. We were discussing just before the show. There's no words in it, but there are characters around some of the kind of more action-packed panels. So between ourselves, we've decided that these are Japanese kanji for sounds, probably, most likely. Where his assault rifle is firing, you see like the kind of dashes on the lines of these characters when things are splattering. It's pretty dope. I mean, some of the different things that it has in there are amazing. So, Aaron, is there anything you want to call out specifically? Because I'll just keep talking otherwise.
You're all right. The first thing I was going to call out was actually from the intro notes. So that you get a little bit of text at the start, and it specifically says that I'm not sure who actually wrote this because there's no name for who it is at 343. But it says that one of our jobs when we set out to do this book was to carve in stone certain events from the extended universe that deviated from our original vision of the story. So this is very much confirming that if you've played Halo Combat Evolved and seen the legendary ending, that's not canon. Johnson didn't blow up. He also didn't die with the Flood, even though that's very much the original plan, was he died in that room. But then they brought him back because he was far too good of a character to waste on that, and instead they killed him in Halo 3. But anyway, so I thought that was interesting to be like, we have this idea, we need to set it in stone, this is how Johnson got out of there. And then they talk about how they brought it to the #1 Halo fan in Japan, and I love that they asterisked and went, not the best player in Japan, just the most hardcore.
I think I know who this is. The person who wrote the foreword of the book is Lorraine McLeese from Bungie Studios. So I imagine she might have written the little interstitials before each comic.
So it seems like that was very much their job. So, like you said, we assume that it's kanji and its sound effects. If you know that it is or it isn't, if you're able to read it, please let us know at podcastevolved@gmail.com. Looking through this here, the art's really nice. Like the first panel of the Flood with the fully infected Flood form is so fucking cool. It looks so like gross. I love it. Yeah, the head is like twisted back and down, and it's just got these things coming out of it, and then it takes a swipe at Johnson and fires him across the room. I liked how there's a lot less green in it. They're more flesh. Do you know what I mean? You could see what they're more kind of like human flesh colored. I like that. A lot of whites and reds and beiges. I see the one scene that they talk about that doesn't match up to the location that they're in, which is when the flood form hits Johnson, he's suddenly back out in the room with the like 2-level platforms, you know, where you can shoot the glass and fall down through the hole in the floor. So I assume that's the bit that they were talking about, where 1 minute he's in the infection room, and then I assume the theory is that it's knocked him out the door. The problem is when it knocks you out the door, you have to like go up the ramp to the side and then exit. So I noticed that noted on Halopedia as an inconsistency, but I am not that worried about it. The next panel that like really catches my eye is the fight with the shotgun flood in the little corridor, because you know when you've played this mission, you know the level. You go through a door and then there's a little square corridor with a door on either side of the square, and then off to either side there's usually a little room with some infection forms in it. And the colour's just really nice.
It's awesome. There's like a cool moment like of him holding the shotgun single-handedly, the flood form, and it's shooting, and you can see all the tiny little pellets come out of the gun. It's such a cool little detail, and they haven't spread yet, so they're all tight together like in a cone. It's really clever. It's really well done. And then like the next one is literally Johnson diving down, shooting with his assault rifle and like mangling this flood form. It's really bright orange as like the two shots of like the two weapons firing, sparking off in this corridor. It's cool.
And then he runs out of ammo, switches to his handgun, takes out some more flood forms, and then has to bolt.
Pretty much legs it, but like he legs it across this kind of the sky, and like I like the scene where like there's one shooting a needler at him, and it shows a corridor like covered in blood and needles impaled in it. I'm pretty sure that corridor exists like that in the game, and I've always walked through it. It's blood soaked, it's got needles in it, and it's kind of like, I like the idea that the artist has tied it in to like that corridor exactly. I can picture that corridor in the game.
Yeah, when you're on your way out, it's blown up. I think there's a door sort of lying across the ground on one side of it.
Yeah.
He's running across the grav bridge, and then one of the flood hits the control to the bridge, and he has to leap across to get to the platform on the far side.
But I love the way that image of him leaping also has all the image of the flood forms falling off the bridge. Like, it's if like one guy hit the button and didn't tell the rest of the guys he was going to do it, and then they all just fell down. Look at his gas.
The next scene shows them like leaping up again. You're like, that kind of makes sense for the flood and how well they can jump. And then he chucks the grenade in behind him and blows them all away.
I wonder if that's the bridge in the mission that's faulty.
Oh, that would make sense.
That's a way of attributing that fault, which would be cool, I think.
I like I must say, the panel at the end where he's walking around to the lift. He's this little silhouette in the background is quite nice.
It is. And even the picture of him from below going up on the grav lift, and then it's just him at the end looking up at the exit outside.
Yeah, I like it captures his face. Like, you look at that and you go, that's Sergeant Johnson. Like, you don't have to be told.
Yeah, if there's only one thing I could say, there's no way he did all this in complete silence. I can absolutely believe Sergeant Johnson would be talking to himself the whole time.
Oh, he probably swore constantly. I'd imagine it was just a permanent stream of fuck, 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 fuck.
There's definitely some good one-liners in here somewhere.
There's a good thought. If any of you guys can think of a good Sergeant Johnson one-liner, email them in and we'll read them out in the next live show.
Yeah, I have to say, fair play to this guy. I mean, I like what he did. I like his art style. I would definitely read more comics from him like this. It's pretty cool, his kind of comments and stuff like that of things that obviously he seems to be a manga artist anyway. But he seems to have gone on very well. So I don't know, it's cool. It's very, very nice.
It's just a nice, short, simple, straightforward story. It's straight to the point.
Yeah.
It ties in with the wider universe then, because I made a note here that the mention of how Johnson escaped, the only other time it comes up is in First Strike, where it's originally in, I think it's chapter 6, whenever Chief goes to board the Pelican and Johnson sticks his head up and Chief immediately drags him through and is ready to shoot him in the head. And he talks about how they were attacked by the flood, but I guess I didn't taste too good. They passed me up like I was undercooked spinach at a turkey dinner. that's like his reasoning of it. I always in my mind had this as like a slower thing where he was infected and then it died off, and when he came to, he was the only one left.
That's kind of where I always took it as well. I didn't think it was something that he fought his way out of that room, as opposed to it being he got taken along with everybody else, but the transformation process didn't work. They obviously left the fate. Now, this First Strike was 3 years before this book. That's also an important thing to know. So obviously they may have changed their story between that.
Bungie do have a habit of tweaking things whenever they feel like it or need it to change a bit.
The first couple of panels do have infection forms like on him and touching him and stuff. So like, I don't know if like just one of them just didn't take or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the trivia notes. Assuming this is happening pretty quickly, the trivia notes that this is the first time we see the fast flood transformation, because you get it then in Halo 3.
Yeah, they didn't do it in Halo 2.
No, so this would be like the first scene of it where Jenkins transforms pretty quickly and it's not a slow process. Either way, it's pretty cool. I can live without the idea that this is maybe, too fast of a transformation or too slow or whatever. That I'm not going to live and die on the timelines of flood infection.
Yeah. And the comic needs some action.
Yeah. And it fits with what we know about Johnson, that he is a badass and he will get himself out of a situation like that.
True.
Overall, I'm pretty positive about this.
Same. For a comic with no dialogue, it told the story it needed to tell really well, and I quite enjoyed it. Even looking back on it again, I did it 2 or 3 times today. I like it.
I read those first 2 panels, and when you see the spore hit Jenkins, I can just picture in my head when Johnson shouts Jenkins on the audio or on the video recording. I can just hear that dialogue playing through my head. I am kind of curious why they chose not to show Keys. That's about the only thing. Johnson's focused on Jenkins and then Johnson gets batted out of the room. But I'm curious why they didn't show Keys go down.
Well, one of the things they said at the start, or I guess that it's herself, Lorraine, who wrote the foreword. They said they just wanted to do so much more of it, but they didn't have money, time, space, is kind of what she said. So, as with all these stories, I wish we had more space, time, money, and ... So I imagine what he did would probably be encompassing way more, maybe more of an introduction to them coming into the room, maybe more of a storytelling of the ship landing, them dropping off in the jungle, getting their way through, they get in, the flood attacked them, Johnson gets out. I imagine there probably is more of a story there to be told that could have been told, that probably got cut for space, budget reasons, whatever. Because like you said, you would include Keys in this moment, do you know what I mean? He would be there. You think Johnson would give more shit about him than Jenkins, but whatever.
I think we could have shaved a few pages off the last voyage of the Infinite Sucker and put a few in here. I would have been alright with that. Oh, right. Well, I think, is that us?
That's us. I think, yeah, we set our record. I think we did a good job. We didn't take the piss here. We did a good job of the comic with no text and only 2 of us here. So, yeah, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Like we mentioned at the top of the show, which is only a very short time ago, all of our episodes for all of our shows you can find on our website, halopodcastevolved.com. It features links to our Discord server, Facebook group, Patreon page, all that kind of stuff, and our Xbox Lives club, and all of our contact information. Once again, another special shout out to all of our patrons. Thank you very much for supporting the show, guys, and making this thing possible. So that's patreon.com/halopodcastevolved if you want to learn a little bit more. Finally, we have a voicemail function. We're getting more because Chris is out there pimping it. So guys, you want to leave us a voicemail, go ahead at 205-EVOLVED. That's 205-386-5833. And with that, I've been your host today, David, and until next time, evolve.
Evolved.